Hello, and welcome to Conscious Curiosities, where we unlock the wisdom of the universe which lies within us. I'm Maria Luz, your host, a certified hypnotist, astrologer, and psychic medium. I don't know if it's the official dog days of summer, but I am feeling the urge to just enjoy the time outdoors. As you may know, I live in Seattle, and up north, we just live for this time of year. So this series of episodes, the first one was last week. There will be 4, and they are going to be kind of on the short side, like 15 to 20 minutes while I'm soaking up the sun's rays. So if you haven't listened to the last one, you may want to just stop and go back, because I give a brief introduction to the concept of the elements in astrology. And today's episode is entitled The Elements Part 2, Air. Air is the only element we cannot see, yet the one we cannot go more than a few minutes without. In a sense, it requires the greatest amount of trust, or perhaps taking for granted that it will always be there. And its agenda is by nature somewhat secretive, because who can name the exact composition of the air that we breathe at any given moment, or how it regenerates itself, like why it's there. All of that while being literally transparent. So air is the sponsor of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And in a teasing manner, I say Libra has the tough job of balancing between the childlike and the quirky of its sister signs. And they are signs of perception and connection. Gemini connecting information, Libra connecting to individuals, and Aquarius connecting like-minded people into a group. And air is associated with the heart chakra. In the context of astrology, I can see how the heart chakra's role in connection, balance, and affinity has its parallel in the 3 air signs. In a real way, it connects our mind to the external world and to memory via taste and scent. And when I had COVID-19 about a month ago, I lost my sense of smell overnight. And suddenly, the spearmint that I picked each morning from my garden for my morning smoothie, it couldn't greet me and bring on that memory, which associated with it in anticipation of my upcoming breakfast. I also couldn't smell my dog's special scent of, the combo of backyard and dried seawater as I kissed her head good night, like I have, for the last 4 years since she was a puppy. So then I also had the moment of panic, like, what if there's a fire and, my son's not home and I can't smell the smoke? So it is strange how something we rarely think about ties us to people, places, things we love, and to life itself. And together with the other 3 elements, air helps us understand the universe and our place in it. I love how astrologer Stephen Forrest sets up Gemini in the book of Air, The Art of Paying Attention. He raises the point that the more unexpected something is, the more interesting we find it. And that drive to find something interesting is Gemini's curiosity. Many liken Gemini to the student and Sagittarius to the professor, because maybe our school system doesn't truly encourage students to ask questions. So for that reason, I don't really find that analogy to be true. And Stephen Forrest also says that, Mercury's expression of listening takes place in Virgo, while its expression of questioning is in Gemini. So I love how he sees it as this curious and questioning energy as well. And as a side note, if you want to learn more about Mercury, I did an early episode. It's episode 3, so you can go back and listen to that. And I like to think of the 2 signs that are ruled by Mercury as really working in tandem often. So Gemini runs around collecting and communicating all the bits of information that are interesting and hands them off to Virgo for categorizing most efficiently in order for the information to be useful. At the Gemini end, it's not really considering what is necessarily useful, rather what is interesting. And Gemini's affinity is to the third house, where short trips, neighborhoods, and siblings exist. A manifestation of Mercury's messenger or go-between function. Where Gemini is in your chart is where you may be most inquisitive and communicative. And if you have planets in this sign, they may have sort of a twin energy, causing that component of your baseline energy to be tough to pin down as like a single manner of exhibiting that planet's main function because of that Gemini twin energy or the duality that's just inherent in it. And speaking of pinning down, we arrive at Libra, the 7th sign of the zodiac, next. And Librans are somewhat famous for being indecisive, but I think they often know what they want, but they would just rather not say it for fear of upsetting the other person. They love harmony, but they are typically not the ones to push everyone to clear the air. And yes, pun was intended there. To clear the error, to get to that stage of harmony. And to understand Libra energy, I look to its ruler, Venus, as well as the energy of the 7th house, which is really tied to interpersonal relationships. So Venus's function is to attract people, resources, and muses for art making. And being contrary is not considered pleasing in our culture unless you are a litigator, maybe getting paid to yell, I object, Your Honor, or you're like the villain on a reality TV show where your job is to bring disharmony. But even in those cases, it's still not so much considered attractive as much as expected. So with this Venus energy manifesting in Libra, it may drive towards a harmonious interaction as opposed to a sense of harmony inside your own heart. And I know this heartbreak of Libra energy well, that can take place because, my older two children both are Libra risings, and my youngest is a Libra sun, and I have a stellium in Libra in the 12th house. So I have had plenty of opportunity to experience this tendency towards, our socially conditioned need to smooth everything over all the time. So once we can decondition ourselves from that kind of put up or shut up societal conditioning, the inner artist comes out with imaginative works of music, in the case of my two sons, or art in the case of my daughter, or in my own Venus in Libra kind of late bloomers case, I've just gotten a lot of joy and self-expression out of arranging flowers from my garden. So finally, we get to Aquarius, the 11th sign of the zodiac, which is ruled traditionally by Saturn and in a modern perspective by Uranus. And this energy is often puzzling to people. So it's sometimes categorized as just plain weird or eccentric. But the way I see it is that this energy seeks to be different from the crowd in a way that has some cachet, some cool factor, but is also authentic to itself. So they may want to impress the status quo group, while at the same time they're doing this act of rebellion or rejection to it by being like too cool for it, or at least being too cool for some component of the mainstream. So you can see again that theme of the duality, the two things that we're seeing in the air signs. And you can see why this might be somewhat puzzling when you're looking at Aquarian energy. And it's because of this drive for separation from the status quo that leads to finding like-minded people in order to form a fringe group. But you always have to stay one step ahead to prevent the fringe from becoming the boring normal. So that weaves in that tie to groups and to innovation and to the future that you also hear comes along with Aquarian energy. So it's kind of interesting to note that the Saturnian influence of time and boundaries is played out in Aquarius, but it's just different than it's played out in Saturn's other sign, Capricorn. And strangely, while groups are such a thing for Aquarians, they sometimes don't like the human part of humanity and can talk at their audience instead of engaging in the way their air counterparts can. The way, Gemini can be all chatty, and Libra, again, can just get along with anyone. So amazingly, these Aquarian energy is really the innovative thinking energy that wants to move humanity forward. So just, again, another duality there. And also, when I'm talking about Aquarian energy, I don't mean like just Aquarius sun people with these attributes, because, of course, no one is 100% of any one sign. And as I keep pushing, we have all 12 signs in our charts. And when people lean on their Aquarian energy, you may note some of these things, or you may notice that where Aquarius sits by house or angle in your own chart is where you tend to feel compelled to buck the norm or to stick up for the underdogs and tell the consensus leaders to shove it. So I hope this has been a helpful perspective on the element of air, and you are now empowered to be consciously curious about the elements in astrology. I thank you so much for listening, and if you want to personally work with me, just head over to my website, marialuz.online. There's also some astrology basics info there, and you can see the services I offer. And if you're interested, use the coupon code I drop in the show notes, or just email me if you need even more help than the coupon code can offer. I'm happy to work something out. My email is info@marialuz.online. Thank you so much for listening. Please share with your friends, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.